So Newcastle United suffered their first home defeat of the season, being defeated 1-0 here against Brighton. Danny Welbeck's goal was the only goal of the game to secure all 3 points for Fabian Hurtzler's side. I think frustration is the key word today. I think a lot of fans leaving the ground here will be frustrated, not just at Newcastle's performance. I think there's some referee decisions and a bit of frustration that they didn't actually put their chance away when they created them. It was a real frustrating afternoon for Newcastle. It started off so positively with the news that Alexander Isak was back from injury. Lewis Miley was named on the bench for the first time since March. So, Newcastle headed the game pretty confident, pretty full of bodies. Obviously, Callum Wilson's still out and long-term absentees, Jamal Lascelles, Sven Botman, and obviously Kieran Trippier as well. But other than that, you feel like Newcastle getting their cohort of players together, and they're fairly strong. And that was obviously probably the strongest side Eddie Howe could have named. And to be fair, for the first 30 minutes or so, they did really well. They were on top. They looked sharp. They looked like a team who'd had 2 weeks to put the disappointment of Everton behind them and really give Brighton a good go. Brighton barely had the ball and barely had any territory. Newcastle dominated. Really should have scored early on, although it didn't really test Bart for Bruggen in goal. But they had enough of the ball and enough openings to feel like they should have done something with it. But as I say, that Danny Welbeck's goal came completely against run of play. It was a long goal by Lewis Dunk. Welbeck chested down, plays a nice little 1-2 and pokes it home. It was a soft goal for Newcastle to concede, the one that we're really, really frustrated with, especially as I said against the run of play. That was Brighton's first shot of the afternoon, and that it felt like they certainly didn't deserve to go 1-0 behind. But of course, if you don't take your chances and the opposition score, that's what happens, and they'll feel frustrated that they went into half-time 1-0 down. Especially Alexander Isak missed a couple of gilt-edged opportunities. Anthony Gordon missed one in the second half, which we'll get on to. But yeah, Isak, it was weird. Like, obviously he started for the first time, broken toe, and he looked a little bit rusty, a little bit like it has all season, to be honest. He was in and out of the game, but when he had chances, he just didn't take them. 1-on-1 against Verbruggen, he just shot straight at the keeper. And last season he probably takes it around, slots it in, or finishes it. I think every time Isak goes through, especially last year, you never doubted he'd score, but there was that feeling of doubt this time, and it proved right. Gordon in the second half, he had a chance, 1-on-1, he just couldn't get a shot away, and it was easily saved by the keeper. And to be honest, that was Newcastle's whole game really. A lot of frustration, created some nice openings at times, had some little bit of nice play, but never really had that creative instinct just to unlock the defence at the crucial moments. And yeah, Brighton held on fairly comfortably in the end, really, other than a couple of chances. As I said, it was just a frustrating day. I think Eddie Howe would have been frustrated with his team's performance. A lot of Newcastle players would have been frustrated on the pitch there. I think Lewis Hall, he played fairly well. He was probably Newcastle's man of the match, or easily Newcastle's man of the match. Joe Linton had a good 30 minutes in the second half. Fabian Schär and Dan Burn did all right, to be fair. A couple of hairy moments, but they did okay. But other than that, there's not too many Newcastle players anyway that can walk off that pitch with a lot of think they've done well. And yeah, I think it was just a frustrating day for Newcastle after that. You sort of give them a little bit. Obviously, Man City last time here in the league, that was a good result. Against Everton, they felt like they should have won. So you give them that little bit of credit. You think, right, if they can beat Brighton at home, then those two results sort of 5 points for them, 3 games. You'd have took that, but now it's taking 2 points for them, 3 games. Brighton are now 3 points ahead of them in the league. They're slightly losing gap against the teams above them, and obviously we've got Chelsea, Arsenal and Forest to come before the next international break. They're 3 very tough games, and of course the Chelsea Carabao Cup game. Things could very quickly start to unravel, but that's looking well ahead. I think today they'll reflect on a game where they'll be disappointed, and there'll be probably 50,000 people here disappointed in Newcastle side. And you don't really say that a lot about Eddie Howe's team, especially during his time as Newcastle manager. There's not many times I think they're disappointed, but they were today. I think obviously that is their first home defeat since Manchester City back in January. Obviously a couple of weeks before that they got beat by Nottingham Forest on Boxing Day, and that was really, I think this game was probably more, it was quite like that game. I think they'll be very frustrated. Brighton played well. I mean, did they really exploit Newcastle's weaknesses in any way? Did they dominate? Not really. They just defended well. They deserve the win, because if you win a game, you deserve to win the game. But yeah, Newcastle will be disappointed, and it'll be one to reflect on over the week before they make the trip to Stamford Bridge. Because as I said, 3 games in a week. Next week is going to be a very big week for them, and they have to get over it. They have to bounce back quickly. They'll hope some of their key players can get back to full, proper form. As I said, Isak missed a couple of chances. Gordon hasn't really looked himself all season. So there's a few players in there who have levels of drop since last year, and it's a shame to see that. And they'll hope that they can get them levels back up, because they really need it. As I said, it's a frustrating day for Newcastle. and one, that they'll reflect on and hope to put behind them when they play against face Chelsea next week. But as I said, frustrating day for Newcastle. 1-0 again, 1-0 to Brighton here. Danny Welbeck's goal was the only goal of the game, and Eddie Howe side defeated for the first time this season at home, a second Premier League defeat of the season, and they're suffering prolificity up front. Again, having scored from open play since September 21st, a couple of penalties in there. It's a worry up front, one they'll have to put right next week.